to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes! That was a ridiculously long pause before the intro. Welcome back to Sports and Sorts. It is episode 199, and we go live every Monday and Friday mornings at around 10-ish. And today, we got some really good stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about, will Zeke hold out in the Zeke versus Cowboys little debacle kind of interesting thing where Jerry Jones is saying, Ezekiel who? And then we also are going to talk about the possibility of a female kicker in the league with Carli Lloyd, as she had kicked a 55-yarder in a practice with the Eagles, I believe. And we will also talk about where Jadeveon Clowney might land, all the trade rumors that are out there, and of course, we have a bit of a Bri Man rant today. If you follow him on Twitter at _Bri_man, he will kind of give you a little preview. Not a preview so much, it's more of a warning that he might be ranting today. And he did that, and it popped up as soon as I was like kind of sipping on my coffee, and I happened to open up Twitter, and it says, I'm really, like, basically, I'm ticked off, and I'm going to yell at the Dolphins. That's basically what it said. And I'm interested to hear about what he has to say. But before we get into all that, you can post topics during our show when we're live. And if you do, we will get them on the air. We'll just post them right on the screen as we go. And if you want to be notified when we go live, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified whenever we go live, because we're going to be changing up the show a little bit starting next week. We're going to be doing 3 separate mini shows, and it's going to end up being basically one show. It's going to be part 1, part 2, part 3, and we will be putting them out all at once in the same day, but we're going to be doing them separately. So it's going to be like NFL, MLB, and then some kind of sorts or something along those lines. We might do NFL, and then, depending on what the topics are, but we will let you know what the topics are ahead of time. And then we will get into the shows. And every time we go live, it'll be right after another. So we will take a quick break. Bri Man has to pee all the time, so we will take quick pre-breaks. Every 15 minutes, he needs to go to the bathroom. You don't see this, but he's got like an empty water bottle underneath. And
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
So we will be taking the shows. Each one will be about 15 minutes long. And we will do little interruptions in between each segment. So anyway, if you want to check us out, you can check us out on Facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man, or on Twitter at Shane and Bri Man. We no longer will have a website as of 2 days from now. That website right now is www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. I already forgot. It's like that.
You're making room in your brain for other more relevant stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're already pushing it out. Your brain is smarter than most people would think.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's smarter. Or I'm just that dumb. Anyway, if you comment during the show, I'll get it on the screen. But today we got a great show, so let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man.
All right. So first thing I wanted to talk about today is a little NFL, because we have Jadeveon Clowney, who has been rumored to go to all sorts of teams. We have Jadeveon Clowney. The Texans they want a franchise. understand. The franchise tag sounds like such a cool thing, but like every player in the world hates it. And it's like, it sounds like, dude, you've been franchised. Like, you're the franchise player. But no, it's like, it just teams to get around not having to pay you what you're actually worth, which sucks. So it's like, it's such like a, I don't know, it's like a pulling the rug from out underneath you. It's so bad. But anyway, Jadeveon Clowney, there's chances that he might go to the Eagles, the Seahawks, which I think the Seahawks would be a great fit. And the Redskins, there's been talks about going there. Eagles would also be a really good fit, obviously, because they are potential Super Bowl contenders.
I think the Eagles would be a better fit than Seattle. I think Seattle, a lot of their warts get hidden by the fact that they have a top 5 to 6 quarterback. Yeah. Because honestly, beyond that, their team is really not that good anymore.
Right, but and having someone like him could help them out a little bit. So that's anytime
that guy is he's probably a top 10 defensive end in the league. He's got to help a team.
Yeah.
So
it would be really good, and that's where we come down to, because another team that they are involved with is possibility of the Dolphins. And I go and I look at I open up Yahoo, because that's the first thing that pops up on my laptop is Yahoo and sports, and it says that the Dolphins team will revolt if a trade is made. And I was like, that must be what the Bri Man's talking about. So I want to go. Yeah.
Let's clarify why the Miami Dolphins locker room wants to revolt.
Well, are we going to earmuffs? Do we need
Yes.
We're going
to. A couple of things.
All right, because I know when you get upset, you kind of lose your filter sometimes.
Let's put the earmuffs out there, because I am going to swear profusely during this trade. I just want that out there, okay? We made this transition to allow me to Howard Stern this thing, so I'm going to do that, okay? But let's talk about why. There are a number of Dolphin-related topics that I need to work through this morning. But let's start with that.
Okay.
The reason why the Dolphins locker room is threatening a revolt, or you're hearing this from some inside source, is that the trade rumor involved has the Dolphins shipping their Pro Bowl early 20-something-year-old left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, who was arguably, if not absolutely, the team's best player. They are thinking about shipping him to the Texans in exchange for Clowney, and supposedly there would be a draft pick in there or something like that. Maybe a first rounder, which I guess the Dolphins are thankfully still hesitating at right now. But the bottom line is the Dolphins, look, in football, in pro football, I think you and I can probably agree that there are 4 premium positions in the game. There are 4 core positions that as a team you try to build around. First and foremost, we know is the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, the guy who almost all the time is protecting that quarterback, especially if you have a right-handed quarterback, is your left tackle. Mm-hmm. Those are 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
Okay? 2, or whatever you want to call it, 3, is a cornerback. A good to solid shutdown cornerback. And 4, admittedly, is Jadeveon Clowney's position, a defensive end. A guy who can create, can wreak havoc, can put pressure on the pass, on the passer, create a pass rush. Okay, but here's the problem: Laramie Tunsil still has like 2 years left on his rookie contract. Is already one of the top 5 left tackles in the game. Okay, and he's the only part of that offensive line that works right now, and I mean the only part. The other 4 guys, there's a rookie in there who is a question mark. The center and Daniel Kilgore, who I kind of like, is an older guy, and he's, his better years are behind him. And even when he was good, he was average at best. Mm-hmm. And then, listen, as far as right tackle and their left or right guard go, it's really nothing to write home about. It is not a good offensive line. It's widely considered to be the sieve of the NFL at this point. They are not going to be good. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was named the starter, that's going to be the second part of this rant, is going to be under a lot of pressure and under a lot of hellfire, especially in the early goings as the Dolphins are trying to work out this offensive line.
Quick. How has Rosen done this preseason?
Significantly better than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the ultimate
average to below average player. Yeah.
Well, but he has like he always has 3 or 4 awesome games, which keeps him in the conversation.
That's the Fitzmagic crap.
Yeah.
That's where that whole moniker comes from.
I've been saying that from like the get-go. People were like, when he went to
every single Dolphin fan, and even the honest media fan, even the honest members of the Miami Dolphins media will tell you that unequivocally, Josh Rosen has had the better preseason. And certainly, I don't know what he looks like in practice. I don't know what he looked like in OTAs or in camp. I can't speak to that. I think it's fairly obvious that at that time Fitzpatrick looked better. But if you're looking at in-game performances, which is what you have to go on in the preseason, especially the first 3 games, because the fourth one basically doesn't matter because nobody even plays. If you go by those in-game performances, which should count more than anything, he has been the superior quarterback, meaning Josh Rosen. But we will get back to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. So let's just get back to real quick with Clowney and Tunsil. If you're the Miami Dolphins, you simply cannot make this trade. You cannot trade your starting Pro Bowl left tackle for a guy who, look, I like Jadeveon Clowney, and I would love for the Dolphins to have him, but it has to be more on their terms. Sending Laramie Tunsil over there, even if you're getting Clowney and a first-rounder back, is not good enough. I don't even care if you get 2 first-rounders back. The reason why you cannot trade Laramie Tunsil is because that is one of the hardest positions to fill in the NFL. And just even if you get a first-rounder in return for him, okay, let's think of it this way. The Texans are probably going to be a pretty good team, which means that their first-round pick is going to be in the bottom 2/3 of the draft. They're going to be picking somewhere between 20 and 30. Right? I mean, wouldn't you say? Yeah. They're going to be in that. They're going to be in the end. They're going to be in that the bottom third of the first round.
They should make a little bit of noise, maybe even in the playoffs.
Especially now, because the Colts are a total. That division is so wide open. The Texans should actually win that division, and they should be the favorite in that division right now because now they have the best quarterback in that division, bar none.
And they have. Do they have the best receiver? I mean, because he is nasty.
DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in football. Yes.
Oh, you think so?
So they have the best receiver in football.
I think he's top 3, but still,
in that division.
Yeah.
If they don't win, and they have a pretty good defense already. If they don't win this division, that's on them. Or that means that magical Nick Foles pulled some fairy out of his ass, and that team went nuts. Because there's no way the Colts or the Jaguars or the Titans should topple the Texans in this division, okay? But the bottom line is, so you're going to get a draft pick if you're the Dolphins that's in that bottom third of the first round, okay? You're not replacing an all-pro left tackle with a pick in that area. And here's the other thing. Even if you draft a guy, a left tackle, at some point in the first round, what is the guarantee that guy, if healthy, is going to produce the same way that Laramie Tunsil already has proven he can in just a couple short years? You can't. You cannot make that guarantee. And Laramie Tunsil has played every game since he's been drafted. He's been the picture of health. He's been the one constant on that line. And he's made a Pro Bowl already. The guy is absolutely going to be a perennial Pro Bowl left tackle. You cannot trade this player. And this is the kind of shit that drives Dolphin fans like me up a motherfucking wall. Because these are the sort of inept decisions that have plagued this team for the last 20 plus years since number 13 walked out the door. This team has been the laughingstock of the National Football League for 2+ decades. And it is entirely because they keep putting people in position of power who cannot handle that position, who are not qualified to fill those roles. Chris Grier, and I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. We are not even into the first game of the NFL season, and already I have to say that promoting that guy to the GM and shipping Tannenbaum out was the right move. But promoting Chris Grier was the wrong decision. Because if your first significant act outside of trading for Josh Rosen, if your first significant act is going to be to trade your Pro Bowl left tackle for a guy in Jadeveon Clowney who has a couple of things here. One, you can say whatever you want. He's a good player. He has to some degree underachieved in his first couple years as a pro. Were not very good.
He's averaged 6 sacks per year.
He's averaged 6 packs a year, but that's not that was not the expectation of Jadeveon Clowney.
Last year the expectation was for him to possibly win the sack title. Like he was up there, right?
I will say this about Jadeveon Clowney. He does get good pressure on the quarterback, but he's actually really good at stuffing the run, which is all well and good. But if you're going to be giving away a Pro Bowl left tackle for him, you better be getting something more than Jadeveon Clowney in return. But here's the other problem. Jadeveon Clowney has somewhat made it clear that he does not want to play for the Miami Dolphins. He wants to play for either Seattle or Philadelphia. So you're going to trade your left tackle, the second most important position on the team, for a rental player who doesn't even want to play on this team and wants no part of this rebuild? Because let's be honest, that's what this is. This is a rebuilding Miami Dolphins team. And yes, that I believe somebody in that locker room who didn't want to be named, and I understand that because they don't want Flores cutting them, but somebody in that locker room said the word revolt. If they trade Laramie Tunsil, they will revolt. And you know what that says? That says two things. One, that shows me that some of those Dolphin players are smarter than we think, thankfully. And two, it shows you how much they love the guy and how much they feel that he's part of the solution, not part of the problem, not one of the demons that they need to exercise and get out of that locker room. He's a guy you need in there. That's a foundational piece that you build on. 23, 24-year-old Pro Bowl left tackles do not grow on trees. Those are guys you build around. It's kind of like, it's like in baseball when we see a team trade a 20-something starting pitcher with a really good resume, and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. You can get stuff in return for him, but shouldn't you want to build around that piece? Why are you trading that asset? That's a valuable piece. A starting pitcher is a valuable piece in Major League Baseball. That's not a turnstile position where you could just say, well, you know what, he's a corner outfielder. We can get one of those on the free agent market. I mean, if you have a great starting pitcher, and he's young, you try and hold on to that asset because that's what you build around. That's how you win a championship. If you have a starting left tackle in the NFL who's in his early 20s and is already going to Pro Bowls, those are the kind of things you build around. Here's the other argument I heard, right? Well, they're going to trade the left tackle because the left tackle is not going to be important next year for the Dolphins because Tua Tagovailoa is going to be their quarterback, and he's a lefty, so the more important position is right tackle. If that is the argument that you are going on, I'm sorry, that is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Because who are the Dolphins to guarantee that they're going to be in position to draft Tua? Because guess where Tua's going in the draft next year? Number one. Oh, he's going number 1 overall. That's where Tua's going next year, okay? And you know the Dolphins, by starting Ryan Fitzpatrick, that guarantees you of 3 or 4 wins that you are not entitled to because that asshole is going to pull a couple of fucking rabbits out of his ass, and you're going to have to deal with that shit, and then you're not going to have the first pick. You know what's going to happen? The Colts, who have had the best luck ever with quarterbacks in the last 20 years, are going to end up with the first pick, and Jacoby Brissett's going to be packing, and Tua's going to be their quarterback for the next 15 years.
Maybe you'll get Jacoby Brissett.
That's what's going to happen. And you know what? This transitions very nicely into the dumb fuck decision that was made last night. That this dumb coach, Brian Flores, who I am now convinced is a plant from Bill Belichick. This guy was sent here on high from the Patriots to destroy and implode this team from the inside out, as if they needed that already because the Dolphins have been the laughing stock of the league for two decades plus, as if they needed any help in ineptitude. But Belichick sends this asshole down to Florida to really rip this team apart because somebody needs to explain to me, anybody, and I mean anybody, someone explain to me how you justify the decision to start Ryan Fitzpatrick over Josh Rosen. You know exactly who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. He's a 36-year-old, hairy, below-average quarterback. The back of his trading card reads like a fucking obituary. It's sad. He's 20 games under 500. He's a losing quarterback who's been on so many teams, you literally almost can't count it on like 2 hands. The guy is the definition of journeyman. Oh, he's won 50 games in the NFL. Big fucking deal. 50 games in the NFL. He's lost over like 80. He's not a winning quarterback. You know who he is. He's 36 years old. Josh Rosen is 22, and he played last year behind the worst offensive line the National Football League has ever seen in the Arizona Cardinals. There are Pop Warner offensive lines better than the Arizona Cardinals marched out last year. And Josh Rosen, even in that setting, did not horribly misrepresent himself. The only reason he's not on that team is because the Cardinals decided we're going to hire Cliff Kingsbury because that's a brilliant hiring. And his plan is to jettison the number 1 pick from last year so he can bring his own guy, Kyler Murray, in. Great. I hope that works out for you, Cliff. And for the Cardinals, I hope that works out for you too, because that's Dolphins level ineptitude decision-making right there. But somebody please explain to me how or why this decision makes sense. I don't want to hear like, oh, well, the first 4 games in the Dolphins season are going to be brutal. You've got the Patriots coming through. You've got the Ravens in their defense coming through. I think the Chargers in their defense, let's let Ryan Fitzpatrick take that beating, and then we'll ease Josh Rosen in. How does that make sense? If you want to test Josh Rosen, if you're saying to Josh Rosen, you have 1 year, 16 games to show us that we should not draft a quarterback in the first round of this year's draft. Well, how can you find out about Josh Rosen if you don't give him that opportunity? How do you find out? By him sitting on the bench and looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick's ass fumble and get sacked all over the place? What are you learning? What is he learning by watching Ryan Fitzpatrick fail? What good comes of that? And Brian Flores said, well, I'm making a decision that's in the best interest of the team. Bullshit. That is a fucking lie. That is an outright lie.
It's in the best interest of the team of the Patriots.
Yeah, it's in the best interest of every team but yours. Because putting Ryan Fitzpatrick out there, you know what he's going to do. Nothing magical is going to happen at age 36 that hasn't happened already. Josh Rosen is an unknown commodity. You traded a second-round pick to acquire this asset. And now you're saying, well, even though he looked better in the preseason, it's still in the best interest of this team to start Ryan Fitzpatrick. If the Dolphins are going to be bad this year, no matter what, and they are, regardless of who starts, then just let Rosen start. See what you got. See what you got with him. I thought that was the whole point of getting him, was to see, hey, you know what? Maybe we get this guy who's a cast-off from the Cardinals, who they said, I think they basically have said, well, we wouldn't have traded him if we hadn't hired Cliff Kingsbury, because if we had just, hired a different coach, that coach would have kept Rosen and played with him. Like, let's be honest, Josh Rosen doesn't get traded if Cliff Kingsbury is not the Cardinals coach. He's still in Arizona. Why would you not want 16 full games? You want to get this guy as many reps as possible. And here's the great thing, too, about Josh Rosen. Because this offensive line is so bad, and because they cannot run block to save their lives, the Dolphins are going to be a primarily throwing team. The best part of the Miami Dolphins is their receiving core. All right? That is head and shoulders the best part of it. That's where they have the most depth, and that's where they have the most star power. Okay? That is how their bread is going to be buttered. They're going to throw the ball this season. Don't you want to see Josh Rosen throw the ball? I do. I don't want to watch Ryan Fitzpatrick. You want your team to be interesting? You want your fans to come back? Put Josh Rosen out there, because you know what? No matter what, even if they suck, even if he sucks, that's what everybody in their right mind wants to see. They want to see the young quarterback get a chance. Nobody wants to see the 36-year-old clown get his ass whipped. I'm sorry, nobody wants that. And listen, I don't dislike Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is the epitome of a great backup. Everything you'd want in a backup. Experienced, veteran. If somebody goes down, you know he can take in, and he won't get nervous. He'll step in and he'll do an adequate job. That's a backup. He is not a starter in this league. I shit you not, I would rather have Colin Kaepernick starting. Because it's not even close. Like, I would want Kaepernick over Fitzpatrick 10 out of 10 times. That is how pointless it is to start Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's just no, there is honestly no defending it. And what scares me more than anything is the same thing that has scared me for the last 20 years, is that fans and media know better than the coaching staff and the upper management. Okay? The fans and the media have been bitching and whining about this team for the last 20 years, and we have been right. And everything that upper management and the coaching staff has done has been wrong. And the results prove that. And here we are again. We are on the precipice of another NFL season, and the Miami Dolphins are going to march into battle with a 36-year-old, less than mediocre, bearded trash bag of a quarterback, and nothing to look forward to at all this season. I don't care if you say Josh Rosen's going to be playing in 4 games after the bye week. I want 16 games. I want to see every single drop back. I want to see every single read he makes. I want to watch every single time he's able to move in the pocket and do things that Ryan Tannehill could never even have dreamt of doing. I want to see that for 16 games. I have had enough of this mediocrity. It has to fucking end. And you know what? If Boss Ross said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to fire both of these clowns right now, I would jump out of my seat and say, holly fucking Luya, I don't even care if you're a racist, which you are, dude. But please, somebody do right by this fan base. Somebody for once do right by this Dolphins fan base. We have suffered long enough. We had Dan motherfucking Reno, who was the greatest pure passer anyone on this planet has ever seen. And we have been stuck. Look at the fucking laundry list name of quarterbacks that have followed in his wake. It's like a morgue. It's the saddest fucking thing you've ever seen. Jay Fiedler, Ray Lucas, Cleo Lemon, Brock Osweiler, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not even like Chad Henne. I'm not even scratching the surface, dude. I mean, it's a disaster.
Pennington was good.
Chad Pennington was the one guy, by the change in my voice, who I absolutely loved. Because first of all, they won a division on his watch, and he was one of the most insanely accurate guys I've ever seen.
And
but beyond that,
he's competitive.
and he was competitive, and he had heart, and he should have won the MVP, and they gave it to Peyton Manning because he was Peyton Manning. But it should have been Chad Pennington, and everybody knows it. But this is an absolute fucking train wreck. And I'm so tired of seeing it year after year. We haven't even played a game. Not even one game. And this team is already the laughingstock of the NFL. I can't. You want to know what my biggest... I'm going to tell you right now. I wish there were alcohol in this. I'm going to tell you right now what my biggest flaw as a human being is. Loyalty. Because if I had half a fucking brain in this fucking skull, I would have jettisoned this team 10 years ago and said, you know what? I have tolerated this crap for a decade. I have done my time. I have put in my service. I am moving the fuck on. And I should have done it. But it's too late. It's too late. We are who we are. You know what? We can't. When you're a loyal sports fan, that leopard just cannot change its spots. You are what you are. And yeah, I'm done. We got other shit to talk about.
All right. We can finally get rid of the earmuffs.
Fuck's sake.
Over here. All right. Earmuffs. We're getting rid of them. I'm clicking the earmuffs off.
All right.
Okay. You've had your epic rant.
Yeah.
And it got very, very heated towards the end.
Oh.
I'm hoping.
How red was my face?
You're pretty like hulking out a bit. It was like, is there some gamma radiation in that coffee you're drinking? Like, what's going on?
Oh,
anyway, that's it for our show. I'm pretty certain that we just got kicked off YouTube. But anyway, okay. So real quick, we're going to touch on a couple other topics. We only have a little bit of time left, but the Bri Man really had some, cathartic. This is cathartic.
Feels good. Feels good.
Yeah. And you look much better. You looked a little bit like you had a weight on your chest, and now you look better. You look better. I think you look better. I think it's good. I think it was good. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing from now on, just so you know, is when Bri Man is going to go on some sort of rant, or if somebody's going to start dropping some bombs, we will try and put the hashtag.
We'll say earmuffs, and you can say cock, shit, balls.
Oh, no. I'm going to try and put the earmuffs hashtag on the screen, so this way people are warned. So if they turn on to YouTube and they see us there, and that's on there, beware. Beware.
Where?
Yes, exactly. Thank you for censoring yourself. All right, so now let's get into Ezekiel Elliott real quick. We can just talk about how he's looking to hold out, and the Cowboys are seemingly ready to play without him for a little bit of time. It doesn't seem like the whole season. To me, I feel like he wants to get paid. He wants to get paid more than Gurley. The problem is
that's obvious.
And the problem is that he is somewhere in between Gurley and Le'Veon Bell, and I'll explain why he's somewhere in between there. Is he a far superior back? Yes, but the problem is he has so many issues off the field. He has issues with legal troubles that the Cowboys helped him out with. So therefore, I don't like, and that's not just one. There's a lot of issues that he has off the field. Plus, I mean, at this point, him and Le'Veon Bell are kind of similar in that regards. They have a lot of off-field drama, which is Le'Veon Bell got tons of money. He got a huge contract, but he's the second highest paid. So I do think that Ezekiel Elliott, because he has a little less problems off the field, but he does have that kind of like domestic abuse thing following him around and stuff like that, which doesn't allow him to really get to that level of Gurley and all.
There's not a lot of leverage.
Gurley is the ultimate guy. Like, he is out there, no drama, goes out there and plays. The only issue with Gurley is a little bit of injury concern. But other than that, he has performed and been a clubhouse guy, and he's just a really good dude. And on top of that, he has put up epic numbers over the last several years. So that's why he got the contract he did. Now, Ezekiel Elliott, if he was a good dude and he was, I'm sure the Cowboys would have no problem. But the problem is that Dak isn't willing to take less money. Zeke isn't willing to take less money.
And so Amari Cooper is going to want that raise.
Right, and you're going to have two guys who are going to be taking up a majority of your, and then you're not going to be able to get an offensive line. You're not going to be able to have receivers. You're not going to be able to have a good pass rusher, because the problem is that you're going to run out of money because of these two guys taking all your money.
Yeah, and it shortens your window with like the rookies that you have that have played well, because then you're not going to be able to afford to pay them.
And as far as like Dak goes, both of these guys, Dak and Zeke, are both smart. Dak he's trying to get as much money as possible, because I believe he's not that good of a quarterback, and he's coming off of a year that he had a decent year. So he's trying to capitalize on that. And Jerry Jones seems to say all the time how he's the man and he's the greatest. And blah, blah, blah. So I think he should get the money, but I don't think he should get that contract. I think that he should take less money because he's not worth that big contract. And then Zeke, who is worth the contract, as far as play on the field goes, off field, he's not, because of all the drama that comes with him.
There's some risk there.
But he's another guy who probably should take a little bit less, because I don't know where else he's going to get that kind of money. Because who's going to want to put up with all that crap that he comes off the field? Unless it's somebody that's in desperate need, like the Jets or something like that. But then he's going to be stuck on a team that's garbage and doesn't have the offensive line that the Cowboys do and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very difficult situation. I think a holdout is very likely. But I do believe it'll probably get sorted out sometime after the next 4 or 5 games, the regular season games, because they'll probably end up going like 2-3, or maybe 3-2 and not looking great. And they'll realize, well, in order to win this division or be close to the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Eagles could start off 4-0, 5-1, something like that if they don't rush this thing, and then they're going to be behind the 8 ball and try to play for the wild card. And there's enough teams that they might not even make the wild card. So
very, very possible.
So it's one of those things that the Cowboys are going to be kind of, their will's going to be tested here. Like, Jerry Jones is going to have to be either, I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm going to play for next year. Basically, I'm going to try and get somebody else, or I'm going to throw money at Zeke. I'm going to throw money at Dak, and then just see where the chips may land.
Part of me says just pay the guy. Just give him $1. Give him $1 average. Whatever.
They could
make him the highest.
They could do less guaranteed. They could just make him the highest paid, but less guaranteed.
There's a lot of things they could do. Here's the problem, though. If you're Ezekiel Elliott, and this is maybe the only, because again, I have kind of 180'd on this over the years, where I feel like I don't like players holding out because I don't like them doing that to their teammates. However, given the physical extremes of this sport, I'm all for players getting as much as they can. Here's the only problem I have.
Yeah.
So what if he's the second highest paid? It doesn't make it. How does this make you any less of a man than Todd Gurley? How does it, I don't understand that. And here's the other thing. Here's probably the most important part. Guess what, Zeke? So what if you get the highest contract? In a year or less, someone's going to pass that.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to throw a hissy fit when some other running back out-earns you? Mm-hmm. That's the nature of the NFL. All you're doing when you set those new standards is you're creating things for agents to try to get past. So, you know what? Do yourself a favor. Take whatever ridiculous money Jerry Jones is going to offer you and go.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be right between Le'Veon Bell and Gurley, and that's where he is.
I'm sure it's $15 million a year. It's in that range. Yeah. How is that unacceptable? It's good money. And I bet you most of that is guaranteed. I don't know what the length of the contract they discussed. So I would imagine at least 5 or 6 years. But I guarantee
they have to go until almost 30 years old, yeah.
I mean, more than half of that's got to be guaranteed. So do the math. If it was 90, I bet you 60 million of that was guaranteed. Let's say it was 15 years. 15 million at 6 years.
What is Gurley getting per year?
I don't know, but I would guess that 60 million would be guaranteed.
I think the highest is 14 right now. I think I think Lev Bell is 13 something and Gurley's 14 something. I think he's the numbers were supposed to be right in between those two guys, which is right where he should be.
So again, I'm all for getting your money, but the bottom line is, if the guy is offering you a significant, I mean, it's not like they're not even in the ballpark with you there. They're in the ballpark. It's not an insult. Just because you're not the highest paid guy, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't set back the Players Association. No. It doesn't hurt nothing bad comes of this.
Because the owners and the Players Association both have to agree that Zeke has some serious issues off the field. So
because the bottom line is no matter what, there's one guarantee you can make here, that at some point, whether it's a year from now, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever, that contract is getting surpassed.
Yeah.
That is an absolute fact.
As soon as Saquon wants to get
my God, forget about it. And the Giants are going to pony up.
Oh, yeah, they have to.
And if they don't, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
All right. Yeah, Saquon's the real deal. I mean, Saquon might be the best. I mean, him and Ezekiel are they're eye to eye.
By the way, just from a fantasy perspective too, boy, oh boy, if you're picking in that first half of the first round, buyer beware with Zeke. So I had
the number one pick, and I took Saquon Barkley.
Well, you take Saquon, but everybody's taking Saquon. That's I think the consensus 1 and 2 is Saquon and Kamara. I think those are your 1-2s. And then after that, because of Zeke's status, it's kind of a crapshoot. I was actually happy last night. I was in a draft and I was picking 5th, which is usually my favorite place to pick because you're just right in the middle.
Yeah.
You're always in the middle, and you're never
action
too far
keeps
away.
coming. Yeah.
But I took DeAndre Hopkins. I got the best receiver in fantasy football, and I didn't actually have to even worry about whether or not to pick Zeke because the person before him took me. And I'm like, man, I get it, but holy crap, if that guy doesn't play for a significant amount of time, your first round pick is gone.
He might not play for the first month.
You're not winning this league.
He might not play for the first month of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get signed until October.
Me neither.
So, and that's a big deal. I mean, that's huge.
Jerry Jones himself used the word marathon when talking about these negotiations.
Yeah.
Which means this thing's going to drag out. This is going to drag out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move on to the last little topic here. Another football topic we have is Carli Lloyd. Kind of football and football.
Very much football.
Very too football.
Football and football.
Yeah. Dude, this lady can kick. She's got a leg on her. Yep. And a strong and accurate leg at that. I mean, it is a good foot that she has, and she proved that she can kick a 55-yarder dead straight, and it was beautiful to see. Now, the thing that's cool about this is that, because obviously there's a couple teams that reached out to her, and I think that the teams almost reach out to her right now because they're like, not because they are really interested. I think they want to just kind of prove that she can't do it, because if you throw anybody, any elite kicker like that was playing soccer into this realm, they are likely going to fail without practice. And Carli is not only a very good athlete as far as being on soccer field and being able to kick field goals, she's smart too, because she said she's likely not, if she does this, she's not likely not to do it till 2020 because she wants time to work on her technique and make sure that she is up to snuff and that she can actually do it. She believes in herself. She thinks she can do it, but she wants to actually work on it with other like kicking professionals.
The greatest kicker ever reached out to her and said, "I'll help you."
Exactly. And that is a huge, huge deal. So
yeah, that is.
I mean, you look at that now, because I think that the NFL wanted her to fail because they don't want a woman coming into the league.
That's a bad idea.
But I think
they want that to fail.
I mean, that's the only reason why. Because why would you offer a contract that early in this game where it's a totally different scenario when there are people charging at you and you're in pads and all that stuff. So she is going to have to practice with all that. And I'm glad she's just not being like taking the money, running and failing. And she's like, I'm going to actually do this and I'm going to do it right. Because that is the smartest thing she could have done. And she did it. And I'm so proud and so happy because this is something that could actually happen and could actually work.
There are a couple things here. One, did you ever see the movie The Contender? It's one of my favorite political movies of all time. It's got Joan Allen in it and Jeff Bridges. And there's a line in there where because the vice president, I think in the movie, who was a guy, passed away, and so the president had to approve somebody. He had to appoint and nominate someone, and he nominates Joan Allen's character to be vice president, and she would be the first female vice president in U.S. history. And there was a line that he said, and I'm paraphrasing it, but basically said, "This is an idea, and basically it's an idea whose time has come." And it was this sort of the idea of, and he said, "A woman will hold the highest office in the nation, period." Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this is kind of the same thing. To me, this is sort of an idea whose time has come. A female place kicker in the NFL. By the way, Hollywood has already broached this with the movie Necessary Roughness, where Kathy Ireland, who I was in love with for so many years, was the, place kicker for, what was it, Texas State or whatever they were. Mm-hmm. The Armadillos.
Good movie. Good movie.
But, oh God, I love that movie. But first of all, there are two huge things here. One, this would be one of the biggest sports stories ever. Mm. One of the biggest sports stories ever that is not an understatement. That is an understatement, actually. I cannot overstate how big of a story it would be for a female she would be the first female to play in any of the 4 major professional sports. Mm-hmm. It's insane. And number 2, if you're the NFL, you need to be drooling for this to happen. From a marketing perspective, think of the demographics that you would now reach out to because of this. You know how many young women would be watching football now? Mm-hmm. Roger Goodell, if I were him, I would have an emergency call with all 32 owners or whatever, 30 owners or whatever, however, 32 teams in the NFL. Yeah. I would have an emergency call with them and say, one of you is going to sign her, and you're going to do it immediately. And they're going to be like, well, you're the commissioner, you can't tell us what to do. And I'm going to be like, I make a ton of money for you idiots. Get her on a team. Because you are missing a massive opportunity there. Also, to your point, I mean, granted, all you're seeing is videos of her, in a certainly not a pressure situation, but she can clearly make the kick. Yeah,
that's without practicing. Like that's not a lot of practice. That's just like going out there and booting.
Right. I mean, why not? This would be so great for the NFL. And by the way, the NFL is one of the most scrutinized, organized sports ever. Mm-hmm. How great would this be for just from a reputation, from a PR perspective, for an organization that desperately needs some good PR. Because all we hear about in the last couple of years is how the NFL is just mired in scandals, domestic abuse, the Patriots constantly cheating. It's a never-ending cycle of crap with the NFL. You know, selfish players. Why wouldn't you want this story? This would be one of the great feel-good stories, and more importantly, you would be opening up your sport and exposing it to an entirely different demographic and you would actually have women and young girls interested in watching the NFL. I can tell you right now, my girls would they would be like, oh, we want to watch the game. Imagine how many people would tune into a game, her first game as a kicker.
She would be the number one jersey sales.
Holy crap.
By far. Like, I mean, I think that her jersey sales would go off.
But if you're the NFL, how could you not want this? Huh? And listen, if she got hurt, look, she knew what she was getting into, right? Mm-hmm. If she gets hurt, she knows what she's getting into with this.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's part of the game. But other than that, I mean, if you're the NFL, you got to want this. They really do. And if I were a team looking at her, I'd be like, better than our kicker. Why don't we sign her up? And then there's like, well, what if she won't tackle people? You know, like on like block kicks or something like that. Hey, Sebastian Janikowski, who was the biggest, fattest kicker I've ever seen. When those kind of things happen, he just like purposely whipped on people. He wanted no part of tackling people. Mm-hmm. And that guy's built like a linebacker. Yeah. Or really more like a lineman. But he wanted no part of tackling guys. There's like a famous, you can pull that up on YouTube. Like Sebastian Janikowski missed tackle or something. Yeah. And he just shows him like running by the guy and letting him like score or whatever. He wanted no part of it. Mm-hmm. Carli Lloyd would probably get in there. She's a badass.
And that's another thing, is that you can always get a punter that can do the kickoffs if you need to. You know what I mean? Like you could.
Well, but somebody else made the argument, which is like, well, if she's kicking the ball off, that's going to be a touchback every time.
Yeah,
she's got a monster leg.
It's true. You could. Yeah.
She's a weapon. That could be a huge weapon. All I know is I'd want her on my team.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a good leg, and she's obviously very smart too. So,
luckily for the Dolphins, their second best player is their kicker, though. So that's actually not an area of need for them right now. But
I think there's a lot of teams that could use a good kicker. All right, so especially after last year. Last year was a brutal year.
God, the Bears! The Bears are probably on the phone now. Like, hello, Carli.
Hello, Carli.
Hello.
Please come. We would love to have Lloyd on the back of your jersey.
Help me.
All right, so that was it for our show today. Episode 199 in the books. We're going to be doing it differently starting on Monday. There will be, actually not Monday, Tuesday. We're going to be filming on Tuesday, and it's going to be doing our NFL picks, and we're going to be breaking up the show into 3 parts. So it'll be first part, first segment, second part, second segment, third part, third segment, and we are out. And usually we're going to probably make it into sports, sorts. So that's kind of what it's going to be. So if you have any topics or anything like that you want us to talk about ahead of time, you can feel free to email us at shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter at shaneandbryman or at facebook.com/shaneandthebryman. If you'd like to maybe throw any topics our way, we try and keep an eye on those. And other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Einhornisfinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bri_man.
And Clint is looking forward to watching the replay. He came on a little bit late, and he's looking forward to watching. It was a good 20,
women and children,
I think 23, 24 minutes, and it might have been 20 minutes because we had the intro of the show and everything like that.
There was a lot. And I looked down at the clock, and it was like 10:25.
And I would guess the swear counter is probably somewhere in the 30 range.
Don't play a drinking game with me swearing.
Unless it's like maybe a sip of beer.
Sips
of beer.
Sips,
yeah.
But there's going to be some quick sips.
Make sure it's not like, what is it? Those IPAs, the 90 or the 180 or something like that they have. What are those? The 60-minute, the 90-minute, the 120-minute? Those, is it Fat Tire or something like that does those?
Oh, I don't know.
Some kind of weird brand that does the 60, 90, and 120. And like the 120 is like 14% or something like that. Well, don't do those. Make sure it's a nice light beer that you're drinking, like a Miller Lite or something. Yeah, don't do the triple IPA.
Oh, yeah. My God, I don't even know. I don't think I've ever had a triple. I've had.
Don't do those. You will die.
Maybe just have
the swear counter is definitely in the 30 range. May have been more. He went on a bit of a rampage. We might have to get a swear counter.
Yeah, could we like if you could have it go like ding, 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 like every time.
Yeah. All right. So anyway,
Well,
thank you guys for watching. We'll be back again on Tuesday. I have a golf tournament on Monday, or I'm playing golf. I don't know if it's a tournament or not. I'm playing golf on Monday, and I will see you guys soon. And the Bri Man has to do his tribute.
of course. Well, we've come to the end of our program, and to quote the great immortal Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. But we will see you next week. Happy Labor Day, and then our first show next week, we'll have NFL predictions.
Yes. We'll do our predictions. We'll get real quick into those.
Guess what the Dolphins are going to be.
We're going to do 3 segments, all be about 10 to 15 minutes long. And the first one will probably be 15 because it's going to be NFL. And I'm excited about the Bills this year. I think we have a chance for that wild card. I don't think they're going to topple the Patriots, but Patriots with Josh Gordon coming back, it's great. I love Josh Gordon. I'm just glad he's back. But yeah, if he can stay on the field. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday at around 10-ish and with our 3-segmented program. All right. See you then. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.
Clint says, Bills 4-0. Come on.